Hi, welcome to this new episode of ITQonversations. My name is Jeffrey Kusters, I'm the field CTO at ITQ, and today we're having a Technologist Panel discussion around everything cloud native, Kubernetes, Tanzu, and I have with me Robert and Hans. Guys, please introduce yourselves and your new roles.
I'm Robert. I've been with ITQ for 2 years, and I'm Technologist Tanzu, and in my role I focus very broadly on the Tanzu portfolio.
Excellent, Hans.
Well, my name is Hans Donner. I work now almost a year at ITQ. Technologist for cloud platform, cloud native, everything but Tanzu.
Okay. So Hans and Robert, you both are working day to day with Kubernetes, with Tanzu, with everything around cloud native, but from a different perspective, from a different angle. Maybe it's good to first explain, where's the overlap, what's the difference in your role, where do you guys meet each other? Robert, to start with you.
Well, I come from an infra background, as many people at ITQ have. I started at ITQ about 2 years ago with the ambition to get into cloud native, container technology, Kubernetes as a technology. And I've been actually doing that for 2 years, non-stop. It's been a pretty steep learning curve. There's a whole additional set of skill sets that ideally you need to really get into things like managing Kubernetes, understanding containerized workloads, and the Tanzu portfolio itself consists of many different products and many different categories. I try to know a little bit about all of them, so I have a very broad understanding. But it's been quite a trip so far, as you can imagine. I think quite different to Hans, who has been in the space quite a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I can imagine, Robert. Hans,
well, my physical height is also there. That I'm a little bit longer in that space. That's correct.
That's true.
I started out with the P2000 machine, the same like Barry in the past. So I go way back. And my objective was always not do IT because, that's my hobby. So I started out in financial accounting, and that's perhaps also why my knack for auditing and security is a little bit coming from. During the process, I got somehow messed up, so I ended up in IT. So I've been doing development work at the startup. I've been doing application engineering, making sure that the SaaS application was running in the environment. And gradually moved from on-prem, really specified machines up to, cloud native more, making the transition to Kubernetes, running from Apache Mesos towards Kubernetes, doing the whole support for development, building the platform, and really operating from within the whole Kubernetes environment. So from day to day, I'm running on Kubernetes. In this case, it happens to be VMware. That's working at VM, that is quite obvious. So I'm more like, from the inside out, Kubernetes, the platform, what is the methodology, what is the whole mindset around that. And that's where we meet with Robert. He's more from, what is the offering right now, what is really happening on that side, and trying to make the best of those things.
Yeah, to really bridge those two worlds, basically, because you're coming from an infra background, you're coming from more of an application down background, and that's funny enough. That's where a lot of our customers are right now. They're making the transition from software-defined data centers and starting to work with cloud-native technologies. So I think you guys are really well equipped to help our customers out in that area. So I'm really curious. If you look at you mentioned it already, Hans. When we're talking containers and cloud-native. Today we're talking Kubernetes, right?
Yep.
And VMware is going all in on Kubernetes. So you already mentioned the Tanzu portfolio a bit, Robert. Could you, without going into every single product, because I can imagine it's a lot, what are the highlights? What is it?
So Tanzu consists of many things. I think most in line with the kind of experience and expertise that Hans has. We could say the bottom half of the Tanzu portfolio is really a Kubernetes distribution. So and everything that goes around that. So there are the Kubernetes project, of course, an open source project. There are several commercial and free distributions of Kubernetes out there. VMware has gone as you said, all in on Kubernetes. They've created their own Kubernetes distribution, which they refer to as TKG, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. So a large part of the Tanzu portfolio is focused around that Kubernetes distribution, not just Kubernetes itself, but monitoring tools, SaaS-based management tools like Tanzu Mission Control, networking tools. VMware has established itself in the Kubernetes community and in the open source community around Kubernetes with a whole bunch of products that are all meant to build together this Kubernetes distribution that we call TKG.
Okay. And as I can imagine, when you just deploy a product or a technology in a data center or in a cloud environment, that doesn't really make the magic happen automatically, right? I think a lot of stuff needs to be done before you can actually, create value and get apps in production, etc. Yeah. And that's more your area of expertise, right, Hans?
Also, and that's also where I think where VM has a huge opportunity as well to deliver more than just a bare bones solution. Basically, what we see it's not only the software needs to be installed, but it's also the mindset that needs to be changed. Formerly, you had really like an infra department and then the developers, and they had to do some stuff together, and that never works. Right now, what you see is that some kind of platform team is emerging that is helping the developers run their deployments on that level, because there is some specialized knowledge needed. Some developers do have that, but on the end, they are there to develop and are less interested also in the whole platform. So there's a challenge to bring that Kubernetes that's now still more like an infra solution, more to a platform solution, to really make sure, hey, if we go up and running, we can deploy stuff directly to it instead of having to install policy management, rule-based access and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it becomes much more of a easy developer experience. And I think, Robert, that's where Tanzu application platform comes in, right? Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so slightly higher up the Tanzu stack, if we can speak in terms of high and low, more oriented towards developers are services like Tanzu Application Platform. So Tanzu Application Platform is an attempt to create really a code platform, a place where developers can very easily push their code to, where the platform itself takes care of validating the code, building the container, pushing the container into Kubernetes, kind of many of the supply chain elements that you need in a modern build pipeline around a modern container-based application. A platform or product like TAP takes care of. It's very similar to Pivotal Cloud Foundry. I should really say Cloud Foundry and Pivotal's commercial version of that. Same kind of roots, same idea. Make the experience for developers extremely easy. Abstract away as much as you can so they can concentrate on the code.
Yeah, that sounds like every developer's dream, right? Just focus on your code and don't worry about the underlying infrastructure and what's needed.
Yeah, but what you also see at the same time, Cloud Foundry, for example, is very opinionated in how things are working, and basically it's like you do it this way or do something else.
Or it doesn't work. Yeah.
Nowadays you see more like, okay, we need a framework where we can tweak and twist and make it more like our product, because we are doing stuff a little bit differently, although every company is basically doing the same. But there are always little knobs that needs to be twisted a little bit. And that's where this whole new platform is really improving upon the old structures.
Yeah, so now kind of making the bridge towards ITQ and the solutions that we offer. Robert, to start with you, how can we help customers move faster to production, all the benefits that's promised with Kubernetes? How can we make that actually happen?
So it's interesting. If you look at the VMware's Tanzu portfolio, consists of many products, many parts that are there to address different needs. That kind of gives you an indication of how complex this subject can be. You need a lot of stuff around just the runtime, around just Kubernetes, to actually productize modern applications, to build them, to make sure they conform, to monitor them, to monitor the platform. You need a lot of extra stuff. So integrating that those different products together is always going to be a challenge, whether it's a commercial offering like the Tanzu portfolio or even open source. Gluing all of those different component layers together to create a complete stack to productize modern applications is a challenge. VMware have made it a lot easier by pre-integrating a lot of this stuff. That's kind of the idea behind the Tanzu proposition. But even then, we're talking about a lot of different layers, a lot of different components, and a lot we already know. vSphere, for example, vSAN, NSXT. They are the base layer, and this is all building on top of that. It can be challenging to integrate all of these different platform components properly. With ITQ, we have an incredible nexus of expertise. We take where we already were very, very good at, that infrastructure experience around VMware products, and we're of course, in the kind of roles that we're developing here, extending that into this cloud native space, so we can help customers do this whole modern apps thing end to end.
Okay, and that sounds like a lot of products and technology that were actually helping, kind of curating and pre-selecting for customers. But Hans, I can imagine that there's also a big people and process change that needs to happen, if you really want to get the benefits out of a cloud native platform.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's also a little bit depending on where we come into the picture at what moment. But there is this whole shift of thinking how it's working. Everybody thinks, okay, even if we run Kubernetes inside, it's like a cloud, so we have unlimited resources. You have to rethink about that. You have to monitor that. You have to work with that. So it's really important to have, for example, to also work on that platform team, for example, to really make the bridge between the developers so they can experience an unlimited-like environment versus IT operations that just wants to patch some stuff and preferably keep it stable as much as possible, while the whole Kubernetes thing is, just deploy it, refresh it, and do something else, and make it more turmoil.
Yeah. Well, guys, we could spend hours talking Kubernetes Tanzu, but I think we need to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, and good luck in your new roles, guys, and looking forward to working with you. Thank you for watching this IT conversation. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. See you next time.